there. I am Terry Finnegan Lynch, and welcome to Strike a Match. Thank you to our host, SM Enlightenment Radio, for producing this podcast and being a part of positivity as a way of life, and this radio program as an opportunity to figure out how to live in positivity. What kind of tools can you find in SM Enlightenment Radio? Well, just tune in and see. So thanks for joining us. This is a wonderful episode. We're going to have a great guest on the second half, Natalie Flynn, wonderful gal from my HCI school. She's a dear friend, and I'm happy to have her on board for today's broadcast. So as I do, I like to just explain why Strike a Match is meaningful and what we want to do while we're here. And, strike is to take action, get curious, and to just maybe take one little step towards something new. And we're hoping that this platform is a way of you seeing new ideas and see if they relate to you. And then the match part of the message is that life coaching, health coaching is about finding the right person for you, for what you want. And sometimes we don't even know what that is. But the purpose here in our broadcast is to introduce you to a lot of coaches that do different coaching models and different clientele, and see if there's something that speaks to you, right? So thank you for being here. What I wanted to start with in this week was what I hear, especially in 2021, as why people are reaching out to life coaches, is they feel stuck. So whether you're 20-something or 50-something, there's this feeling that somewhere along the way, I painted myself into a corner, or I feel that I'm in a jar, I'm stuck in a routine, or you could really be literally stuck to a door. But the idea here is to, what I'm hearing is that people are curious about how to get out of that feeling of being stuck. So how do we get there? How do we get to the place where, we feel that there's no movement? And, primarily it's based in the fact that life is very repetitive. We start our day, we go to work, we take care of our families, maybe we visit friends and family, but it's very repetitive. And in that, we practice the same things over and over again. And they're not terrible. Our life is good most of the time. We're enjoying what we're doing and such. But as time passes, there's this feeling like, where's the something new? It feels a little mundane, or where's the spark? So that's what I hear, especially recently in the 20-something group. People are reaching out and saying, I've finished school. I was living at home. I'm moving out, and I'm not really sure what to do. I majored in this in school, but I really don't like it. So there's this stuck place for the 20-somethings that is like, I haven't really got out of the gate yet, right? So I'm not really sure how to define who I am. When we're children, it's easy. We play with our friends in the neighborhood or at school, and we do what we want to do, video games or hopscotch. I'm dating myself. And then in adolescence, we're still in our peer group, whether we're an athlete or in theater or music, where there's a way of identifying ourselves in a group. But once we finish school, we're out there on our own, and there's some major decisions that we have to make about where I'm going and what that's going to look like. So we ask, what's next? I feel stuck. And a life coach has the tools to do that investigation with you, to uncover who you are and what you want and what it will look like. And it's different than, making a bucket list or, a 5-year plan. There's a lot of practices where people make a 5-year plan. It's deeper than that. It's really going into kind of a soulful look about who am I and what do I want. So that's one kind of group that can be stuck. And if you're in our audience and you're a 20-something and you're relating to this, you're right where you're supposed to be. This is a time of shifting in your 20s, about cutting the cord and becoming a more independent version of you. And how do you balance letting go of what was so familiar in your peer groups and family and creating something that's really independent and reflective of what you want. So then we move up a little bit, and if we go to the other end of the spectrum, we have our 50-somethings, even 60, who are like, oh my, kids are grown. I've been in this job for 25 years. I feel stuck. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. And it's a much different stuck, but it's limiting in the same way. We have wonder about where to go next, but not really the voice box, the platform to figure that out. And so coaching, when I hear people in their 50s asking for what a life coach can do, it's because there's a whole lot more time ahead. Yet there's been a lot of time behind us. I've raised my family. Like I said, I've been in a job for a very long time. And there's this wonder, like, can I change careers? Can I, do I stay married? Do I get a divorce? There's lots of shifts in each decade, each milestone of where we are in our lives that we don't have to just march through. We can step back and see, is there more? Is there something I'm missing? And if that feeling is there, that curiosity is there, that disappointment when I wake up in the morning and I'm doing the same thing again, or who I'm laying beside is, not a spark in my heart, there's a way of looking at, do I rekindle that spark? Do I move on in my life? So life coaching at that juncture in our life is just as vital as the one that you would be with the 20-something who's just beginning. And of course, everything in between matters too. So if you feel stuck, that's a good thing. That's your body, your mind, your heart telling you that you want to do something else. When we don't know what it is, we reach out and we get support for that. And in very short time, working with a life coach, less than 3 months, you can find yourself with a new footprint, a new blueprint. And it's a really exciting opportunity to really create what you want. So if you're feeling stuck, you can write to me, Terry Finnegan Lynch @gmail.com, and we can have a conversation about what that's like and see what we can do about it. So I'd like to move into, and all of what we're doing today in this segment is related to being stuck. So the next thing I'm going to introduce is our fun fact. And this came from the HuffPost. And Tom Casano is the contributor of the article, so you can look it up. But what Tom has identified is there's 10 curious things about life coaching that you may not know about. And so one of the ones he lists is about stumbling blocks. So I've modified his language a little bit to match mine, but his point is that it isn't necessarily what we aren't doing that's holding us back. It's what we're doing wrong that does. So what does that mean? So if we keep doing things in this pattern that I spoke about at the beginning, we're operating in a very familiar setting, right? It's a habit. And ironically, it's very easy to access this habit. However, it can actually trip you up. So if you look under the stairs of this man who's falling to the bottom while climbing to the top, he has a positive intention. He wants to control, he is multitasking all the time, he's overworking, but these things are actually not serving what he ultimately wants to do. So a life coach is there to point out what you need to change to up-level your life. So instead of falling to the bottom while climbing to the top, it's a much safer climb. It's more creative, and it brings new ways of doing things to your arsenal. So naturally, we are going to have, as we experience our life and our careers and our family, go-tos. So my go-to that I created when I was a kid was I loved being a hero. I would rescue the kids in the neighborhood from harm's way, or build the biggest tent and invite everybody over. I just wanted to be the hero. And the balance to that was that I also really was attached to being a victim. And that didn't play out as much in elementary school and high school, but it did in college. And I made some really bad decisions in that victimology. And it played out in a marriage. And so I married a man that I felt needed to be rescued. And then I became a victim of his anger. And that worked perfectly. So it didn't feel like it was letting me down, this system, until it really was. So what coaching can help you see is if you have an operating system that used to work and isn't working anymore. So if you are a person that pushes really hard and has high expectations for yourself, more than likely you're pushing that onto others, and they may not like that. They may not welcome it. And so you create a space between you that affects the relationship, because it's a system that, I've always pushed really, really hard, and pushing works for me, yet it takes away in other aspects of our life. So what coaching does is it allows us to look at, what am I doing wrong, quote unquote, which is what Tom's language is. I prefer to kind of say, what am I used to doing? What was the system that I created as a younger person that helped me be a great athlete or really good in school? And then I get over here and it's an old system and it's rubbing people the wrong way, and I'm not getting the results that I deserve, and it needs to be up-leveled. So life coaching has a program that allows you to step back and see that operating system and create something new. So that's the fun fact, is that there are stumbling blocks that we will try to climb over, or we'll miss a step going down, and we tumble into a really bad space. And none of it is because you're a bad person. It's just what we've been doing for a very long time, and it gets worn out and stops working. So that's another reason you can get stuck with, you don't know where to go and what to do, or you can get stuck in the fact that the way you're doing it isn't serving you. So there's two ways of looking at it. So the next thing that I wanted to share with you, which I do each week, is a positive tip. So let's try this one. Every behavior has a positive intention, and that's why they become a habit and are so easy to access. So what I mean by this is, whether a kid is throwing a tantrum or a grown-up is, they're not just trying to make you angry or behave badly. There's something in that behavior that they are getting a good feeling about. So a kid throwing a tantrum, the positive intention there is, I don't want to do my homework. So if I throw this tantrum, I don't have to do my homework. And a grown-up that's throwing a tantrum on the golf course is, I want to be angry, so I'm going to break my club. And in doing that, the outcome can be offensive to others. So let's play the tip.
Positive tips for a better life with Terry Finnegan Lynch.
Consider this. Every behavior has a positive intention, which is why habits are so easy to access. There's something good in it that I'm getting by doing it. So step back and look and see what that positive intention is, and then shift the habit to something more desirable and keep the positive intention. I'm a health and life coach, and these are Terry's positive tips for a better life.
WSME.
So how do we do that? So we've got, again, two spectrums, a child and an adult. So when your kid is throwing a tantrum, the thing that's obvious is the noise and the pouting and the disruption. But what's underneath that is something that is really motivating the tantrum. I don't want to do my homework. Okay. Well, as a parent, what we wonder is, why don't you want to do your homework? Yeah, I want to watch TV or play video games or go outside or whatever it is. But there's usually something else too that's attached to it, whether they don't feel confident in their schoolwork, or they don't like the teacher that gave them the assignment, or there's a bully in class that's going to make fun of them when they have to speak out loud. So the tantrum, the positive intention for the kid is to not do the homework because there's this pain over here that they want to avoid. So when a child is throwing a tantrum, of course, we don't want to co-sign that behavior, but we do want to ask the kid, the child, what else is going on, because there is a positive intention to every behavior. And if we figure out what that is, then we can ask the kid to do it differently. Like how? Well, maybe you end up talking to the teacher or showing a child how to deal with a bully. Honoring the fact that they feel uncomfortable in itself is a way to honor the intention of feeling safer around homework. So then when you get to be a grown-up and you're on the golf course and your teenage son is watching you break a club or throw it into the pond or whatever, the positive intention here is that dad's angry and he doesn't want to take it out on somebody else, that he's disappointed in his game. And golf is a frustrating game, but there is another thing, another layer underneath that. There's a positive intention that dad wants to, that dad's using as a reason for acting out the way that he is. And so if I'm dad and I'm the one throwing my club, I want to ask myself, what am I really feeling? What's going on here? Why am I doing this? Do I want to shock people? Do I want to make a scene? And why? And for me, if I was still in my victim hero mentality, it was be like, oh, I failed as a hero. I scored a 7, So if we understand what our positive intention is when we're in a bad behavior, then we can change the habit and really be true to ourselves about what we really need. So the last part of this segment that we do here together with you and I is my comedy corner, the Coach's Comedy Corner. So here we go. Our life coach said, don't wait for what you want, just take it. So we did. There are lots of reasons why people resist getting help. And what if I'm given bad information? What if this doesn't work? What if? And so I want to make light of and invite you to joke around with life coaching. Have some fun with it. Ask questions. Voice your doubts. Be curious. But, the bottom line is life coaching is a relationship. And it's allows for us to laugh together. And if you have to or want to, need to cry together. But it's really, truly about holding that space where you get to have the most beautiful look into you and do it in a safe place. The life coaching model that I use is the transformational coaching method. Last week I went into it in detail and that podcast, and it's very, very, very effective, and it really allows for small shifts in thought, in behavior, and outcome. Yeah, strike a match. Just let the idea of changing small things for a great outcome. And it's about habit change. It's about changing our mind and changing our lives. So I hope this is a helpful segment for you. Please feel free to reach out to me. Check out my website, masterwellnesscoaching.com, for more information about what I do. And we're going to go to some commercials here. Please pay attention. They're so good. It's about positivity, and we all need that. So listen in to SM Enlightenment Radio. Hi, welcome back. So this is the match portion of the show, and I'm really excited about my friend Natalie Flynn, who's going to join us. I always segue about rapport. Why coaching works is that we find the coach that we resonate with. And Natalie and I met again at HCI back a few years, and it was a very special hello. We connected right away, and we've been able to stay in touch through social media and stuff since then. But now she's back in my wheelhouse. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, Terry. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what we start off with, Natalie, is the curiosity about how did you come to life coaching? And you and I have, kind of a similar background. We know that it's not an easy thing to share, yet we do because it helps people. So just tell us a little bit about your journey to coaching and your practice. You're a very special lady, so let's just meet you.
Well, I will have to say, I remember that moment that I met you in the hallway. It was April of 2018. We had just started our journey through HCI, and I was passing you, and just something, we just connected. Like, it was just like that.
Yeah.
I said a couple of things. We were like on the same page, and then I would see you here and there, just like you said. We had that connection, and that was that rapport. It was so neat. And I've watched you grow through the years of coaching as you watched me, and here we are now. So it's amazing. What got me into coaching was I'm a nurse for 25 years and a nurse practitioner for 13. And I was at a standstill, like a pivot point in my life where I was deciding, well, what are you going to do next? I don't want to do what I was doing, and I need to do something more. And I thought to myself, I saw this coaching thing. What is this? So I went into coaching, of course, so I can fix, and I'll throw her under the bus. I'm going to fix my mom. Oh yeah, that'll be great. I'm going to fix my mom and she'll be happy. And so I'm going to go into health coaching. I'm going to take all my knowledge. I'm going to add this to it, not knowing that anything in her was broken or that she wanted anything fixed. But however, it was probably an answer to her prayer, ironically, that I went through that, because it changed my life. It fixed me, so to speak, fixed whatever I needed fixed. But it was just such an amazing journey. So going through the coaching experience brought, like Amy said last week, and you all were talking about how we can't do anything, we can't expect of anyone else unless we're willing to go through it ourselves.
Right.
So going through the mountains and the troughs of being a coachee and then being a coach, it was just such a valuable experience. I was able to uncover so many things that went wrong in my life, overcoming a severe alcohol use disorder issue was probably right. It was right then when I was introduced to coaching. So through the coaching and what I learned as being coached, I was able to overcome a lot of those things that made me feel like the alcohol was the answer and food was the answer. So I happen to grow greatly through the program, and becoming a coach myself, I have so much to share and so much to relate to other people that it just makes sense that I can help others also come through their issues.
It's wonderful. I love the name of your business, Move That Mountain.
Move that mountain.
Move that mountain. So you're a very earthy person, and connect amazingly with the animals, with horses, and you're a functional medicine practitioner, right?
Right. I'm just finishing up my certification for functional med. It makes sense to me to look under the hood instead of paint the car when something's wrong. And that's kind of my analogy of Western versus functional. It's finding out. I have this functional health coaching, which I also got into through the HCI, meeting different people and being introduced to what works in medicine and what doesn't. And I'm pretty much I think I was at that pivot point that I talked to you about at the beginning, because I knew I wasn't making a difference in people's lives with the career I was on. Here I am, this nurse practitioner. I'm dual certified. I work in emergency room. I work in internal medicine. I'm seeing all these clients, and I'm not helping a single one of them. Yes, when we work in emergency and somebody comes in with a cut and you can sew them up and send them home at the Band-Aid, that's great. But for the most part, and as well as I do, being in nursing, that emergencies tend to spark from long-term issues, long-term problems, things that have been going on for a really long time, and people they come to a head, and it's more or less of an acute on chronic issue.
Right.
So functional medicine for me made sense, because I thought, well, how am I really going to help people? It wasn't good in the emergency setting, because that's an acute scenario. You come in, you need something right away, and you get it. Here, I wanted to work more with people on, well, what happened? Why did this occur? How long has it been going on? And it was just kind of in my blood to do it that way,
right?
Which didn't kind of fit the paradigm of ER, treat them and treat them, right?
Right.
So I really wanted to get to the root cause of what people were going through. And I'm finding, of course, environmental factors and stressors and lifestyle factors all are the major role players in chronic illness. So now I've found through, starting the coaching and then going through the path and, these things leading up to being where I need to be now, which is a functional health medicine, which makes sense to me. So it's been a long, windy road, but none without purpose.
Yeah, no, I get it. My hair. The exact same experience. Now, I was only a nurse for a short period of time, but that feeling that there's so much more to this story, and I needed to be a part of that, and so I really appreciate I think that's probably why we connected, right?
Right.
As we passed like this, that was in Arizona. It was cool.
Yeah.
So you've got a unique niche because as a functional trained health provider and a health and life coach, you are blending the safety of being medically cared for with the why and how. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing. So what I ask each coach each week is, what's the number one reason you find when you first start to talk to people that they say, no, I don't think so? What do you do you know why? What do you think?
I like this question because they all know the answer. They all know it. I know that. I know that. I can do that. I can do that on my own. I can do that. Yeah, you're right. I can do that. Oh, I already know that. That's the hugest thing. So
yeah,
we all have the knowledge. We all have the knowledge. And I love it when I point it out and they say, oh yeah, that's what I need to do. And I can do that. I think I'll just work on it myself for a while.
Right.
So that's pretty much what it is people want to be independent. They want to know they can do what it takes to get to that goal on their own.
Right. Yeah, it's we are very much groomed in society to be fiercely independent, and it's pretty lonely, truthfully. So when you get to that conversation where someone is actually saying yes, what do you think's the power behind that reply?
Power behind that, the yes. I think they're ready, and it's definitely a personal decision in each person. From what I found so far, you cast a seed in people. We all care. We care about people. Like I genuinely care about everybody that I see, and I see this potential. However, like with nursing, I can get so dragged down and just so emotionally drained by caring too much. So I've let the other person say yes with the intention that they are ready. And I won't let someone say yes to me or my program until I can determine that they are really ready to go through the steps. They say yes, and so many times, I follow up and they don't. So I've gotten really good at weeding through the garden of people that will stick with the program, because I don't want them. It might not be their time.
Right.
Everybody's got their time.
Right.
So when they say yes, they're ready. And it is a wonderful experience because you can work with people, you watch them grow, you see them change, and they're grateful for life, and gratitude with everything around them is just different than that struggling person that said yes and didn't mean it.
Right. Yeah, it's I think again that speaks to the value of these discovery calls that we have, where it's do you believe I can help you, and do I believe that I can help them? Do you believe that you can work with me, and I believe that I can work with you? So and I think that integrity of coaches is that it is a decision that we both make on if this is the right time, the right place, the right coach.
Right.
When you have the clinical setting, you don't have that option. It doesn't play out at all. And so this is a very special part of why it works, is because the meeting is appropriate for both. There's a belief in both of us. It's what kind of process do you use? Is your program 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks? What's your program like?
I curate. I let people decide what they're up for. I think that at least 4 weeks is appropriate. And a lot of times I find that people that sign up for the 90-day program, they fizzle out. And it's really hard to reel them back in. But you give them a 4 week, and 4 weeks is just enough to get people excited about change. And then they want to continue. And it's not, I think if you don't have that long-term, not everyone, a lot of people want those immediate results. So in the psychology behind it is the shorter term goal, then it looks better for a lot of people. So I know a lot of coaches won't take anybody less than 90 days, 6 months to a year, but I do concierge practitioner. So I'll take people 6 months to a year, but I'll also take you for twice a month or month to month, because it's just where you're at right now. And if I feel that we're good candidates together, then I'm gonna give that time. Like some people just need to get over a hump. Personally, right now I have somebody who's writing a movie and they wanted just an accountability and support person, but didn't need it every day, or didn't need it every week. I mean, and it was just going to be maybe a twice a month kind of thing where, we have developed a certain schedule with the support part and the accountability part. So it just depends on what you're looking for.
No, I love that. It's kind of interesting because my program is 12 sessions. I don't have a short version yet. No two sessions are alike. Every first session is different for every client. Every second session is different for every client. Because what you need and who you are is just as malleable as the program is. So I love the fact that we can make those adjustments based on who the person is and what they need. Tell me, what is the attraction? What's the big question that someone's going to be asking to come find work with you?
Well, first of all, they like the name of my business, Move That Mountain, and then they see me with a horse.
Yeah.
And that stems from, it takes the faith the size of a mustard seed to move a mountain. And I think you mentioned that in last week's show.
I did.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. And I had developed this one. I have this. It's coming up. It's called the push. And I have a saying. It says it just takes a small push to move a big mountain. To move a mountain, and that's what it takes. It's that series of small pushes, or small bits of faith to move mountains. That particular sign was hanging up in front of on top of a podium that I used to stare at for months on end. And I said, when it came time to make my business name, I just decided to pick that. So they'll come to me for that reason. And then they'll say, what do you do? So they see the mountains, they see the horse, and then they want to know what I do. So then I can explain it.
Yeah, and then you say, something about not having to do it alone, right?
Always. And that's right. So I say, well, I'm basically a health and wellness coach. So I help people to get healthy. And I think that incorporates the reason why you're unhealthy in the first place, whether it be an addiction to an eating or shopping or poor lifestyle, whatever it is. So it all fits together. And I started asking them questions why they reached out to me, or and what was there? Because people are shy. They make that call, but they don't have they don't know why sometimes. Right. So you kind of just ask questions and get the answer that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Most people are the same.
Yeah, and it's, I think especially around life coaching, there is this wonder, what is it, and would it help me? And I love the fact, I want to circle back about you saying I wanted to fix your mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the amazing thing about life coaching is, and you called it a small push, I call it hinges.
Yeah.
Small hinges swing big doors. We're using this a similar strategy, that we're not like, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We're not sinking the Titanic. We're just doing small things that offer new perspective and new ideas, and therefore new outcomes. And that's the good news. So I do love to invite, a testimony. Do you have something from a client that they shared about what their process was like with you?
I actually was looking through different testimonies, and because I knew you were going to ask that question. And basically, a lot of them were thanking me for XYZ, and I thought, as I'm reading it, I'm like, it's all about me, and I want to just turn that back around as kind of a general. I think that the testimony comes from the person themselves to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all the thank yous and all the, oh, you're great, and all this and all that. And I'm not that humble. However, I just feel like, you did the work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I give the testimony is the client's growth. I don't know how to describe it, but I have a lot of, you kept me on track. Thank you for the tips, and I always think of you when I'm about to do this and that, and I just didn't think it was powerful enough to say that was a testimony. It's a testimony that there's people out there that are making a difference to themselves and showing others that they can do it. I think that when I hear people saying that their families are proud of them, that's the testimony. And not just the thank yous and I'm so great isn't really a testimony to me, but I think it's seeing their growth from the beginning to looking back to where you were and where you are now. It's kind of like I have it in my heart. I see the growth where they don't see all of that.
True. The step backing and I have a client who's been with me since May, and he says, if you keep helping me up-level my life the way that you are, I'll be paying you every 6 weeks for the rest of my life. Because, he's like, we're not there yet. We're not, there's more that I want to do. But it's exciting, and it feels good to step into a higher version of ourselves as clients. And, I know that my coaches along the way have really been vital in my own up-leveling, and it's very important to, as a coach, to celebrate the client for doing the work, right?
Right.
That's such a huge piece of what we do. And for me, every session starts off with, what are we celebrating? What went well this week? Because many folks, it's easy to say, I ate the wrong thing, or I didn't practice what you suggested that I do, or whatever it might be. But the celebration is the harder thing to pull out of people.
Right.
What did you do well today?
It kind of throws them off when you start with that.
Yeah.
People aren't used to thinking in those positive terms, and that's unfortunate. I just think that the testimonial comes from a constant celebration of positivity in the people that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. That's where I see the most growth.
I got a text yesterday from a former client who referred her best friend to me. And I wasn't quite sure if I was landing it for this girl. And my former client wrote and said, I just want to let you know that I saw her yesterday. And she told me that introducing her to you was the best thing anyone has ever done for her. And she was really emotional about being willing to do the work. And, you know, when I was sitting there with her, I felt I wasn't doing enough. I wanted to connect so deeply with her. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, it was happening just in a way that I couldn't see, you know. Right. And you know, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, these shifts of new thought and behavior are anchored. You know, whether you choose a short program or a long program, whether you renew or you're one and done, we're all so individual that what we need is right in front of us. Let's look at it. Let's figure it out. And that may be all you need, or you want more. So that's the beauty of health and life coaching. So your website is
www.movethatmountainlife.com, and I'm pretty much straightforward. I love working with people who like to put their boots on. You're ready to put your boots on. However, if you don't know if you're ready to put your boots on, that's an important conversation to have too. And I wanted to bring up one more thing before we part. You, in the beginning of your show, I was listening intently, and you were talking about being stuck. And I wanted to touch on some of that, because when the important thing is to whether or not you're ready for coaching or ready for a change in your life, no matter what it be, whether you're ready to leave a relationship or start a new food plan or get a new job, or whether or not you want to have kids, or whatever your issue is. It's that question of being at a pivot, and just asking that question is kind of like, what did you say? You brought up a good question. Is there more? Is there more? That's the question I wanted to bring up. Is there more? So by bringing up that question, because that's kind of where I was with my career, it was kind of like I was asleep and high and dormant. And I was like, is there more? I've already have this high degree. I've already have this job, but I'm not happy. Is there more? And that's the question that I think it takes to start to kindle that fire, to start perking up, and like the crack in the egg when the chick is coming out. It's like, you got to ask that question first, and then then you're able to see which direction you should take. But it's so crucial for that question to come out, because we see people living in situations where they're tolerating, and they don't ask themselves that question. They just don't believe that there is any more. Get complacent, and it's no fair to live that way.
Yeah, for sure.
That question, is there more? And then it starts that idea. It's like that light bulb. And people will start to develop more questions for themselves, and then they find us.
Well, I love, Natalie, the balance that you have between coaching and functional medicine. I think that's a very extraordinary combination for the wellness of people. And so I'm, really honored that, you took both of those skills and brought them together to move the mountain. Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad you're back in my wheelhouse, and we will be in touch, stay in touch. And if anybody wants to reach out to either one of us, please check our handles, and we will be happy to get back in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, wow. I have to tell you, this is great stuff. I love my coaches. They're wonderful people, and they've come to their place of service because of their particular journey, and their sensitivity to what you need is real. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this was useful and helpful to you. We're here at Strike a Match to bring together action and coaching, and we hope that you are inspired by the content of this podcast. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you next time.